Welcome to our discussion on the nature of political campaigns today. Campaigns today are different from the campaigns of the 1980s or even the early 1990s. The main reasons for the changes are the professionalization of campaign staffs and the dramatically expanded role of the media and the internet, and candidates' ever-rising need for funding to keep pace with the unprecedented demands of contemporary campaigning. One of the most significant changes in the conduct of campaigns is the rise in prominence of campaign consultants, paid professionals who specialize in the overall management of political campaigns or an aspect of campaigns, such as fundraising or advertising. Previously, volunteers who believed in the party's ideals and in the candidate ran most campaigns. Although some volunteers may have been motivated by the expectation that they would personally benefit from the election of their candidate, their efforts focused largely on the election itself, of a single candidate or a slate of candidates. In contrast, professional consultants dominate modern campaigns for federal offices, many state offices, and some municipal offices. Typically, these advisors receive generous compensations for their services. Although professional consultants may not be as dedicated to a single candidate as earlier grassroots volunteers were, these strategists are typically committed to seeing their candidate elected and often are quite partisan, usually working only for candidates of one party throughout their careers. For example, during the 2008 presidential campaign, Democratic strategist David Axelrod faced a difficult choice in deciding which potential Democratic nominee he would work for. 5 of the contenders for the nomination, Barack Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton, John Edwards, Chris Dodd, and Tom Vilsack, had been past clients of Axelrod. Though he considered sitting 2008 out, Axelrod wound up working for Obama and now serves as senior advisor to the president. Similarly, Steve Schmidt, who managed the 2008 McCain-Palin presidential campaign, works exclusively for Republican candidates. One of the top jobs in a political campaign is that of campaign manager, a professional whose duties comprise a variety of strategic and managerial tasks. Among these responsibilities may be the development of the overall campaign strategy, the blueprint for the campaign, which includes a budget and fundraising plan, an advertising strategy, and staffing objectives. Once the campaign strategy is set, the campaign manager often hires and manages the office staff, selects the campaign's theme, colors, and slogan, and shapes the candidate's image. Another crucial campaign professional is the pollster, who conducts focus groups and polls that help develop the campaign strategy by identifying the candidate's strengths and weaknesses and by revealing what voters care about. Other professionals round out the candidate's team. A fundraising consultant works with the candidate to identify likely contributors and arranges fundraising events and meetings with donors. Policy directors and public relations consultants help to develop the candidate's stance on crucial issues and to get the candidate's position out to the voters. A media consultant brings the campaign's message to voters by creating handouts and brochures as well as newspaper, radio, and television promotions. Media consultants rely increasingly on the internet to bring the campaign to voters through email campaigns, web-based advertising, blogs, and message boards. Today, with the presence everywhere of the media in all its forms, television, internet news sites, blogs, Twitter, radio, podcasts, newspapers, magazines, citizens' access to information is unprecedented. Whereas our ancestors had far fewer sources of news, word of mouth and the printed paper dominated for most of American history, people today can choose from a wide range of information sources and a bounty of information. Today, 24-hour news channels such as CNN and MSNBC compete with the internet news outlets, satellite radio programming, and news text messages to grab audience attention. But not all of this bombardment of information is accurate. Given the abundance of information disseminated today, and in light of its diverse and sometimes questionable sources, engaged citizens have a greater responsibility to be discerning consumers of the news, including coverage of campaigns, voting, and election. They cannot be passive listeners and spoon-fed watchers of news as it is dished out by daily newspapers, nightly newscasts, and the occasional weekly or monthly periodical. Vivi Griffith at the University of Texas at Austin's Think Democracy Project writes, "The challenge for the contemporary citizen is to be more than an audience member. Voters have unprecedented opportunities to access information and, at the same time, myriad ways to see issues obscured. An informed polity is essential to a democracy, and it can be difficult to sort through whether our media-saturated world ultimately serves to make us more or less informed. We consider media coverage of elections, campaigning, and voting in detail in a later chapter." In sorting through the abundance of news, citizens must also contend with changes in how information is presented by the media. When news was less available, that is, when TV networks aired a single 15-minute nightly news broadcast, the content tended to be policy-oriented and hard-hitting. Today, networks have much more time to fill. In addition to their nightly 30-minute news broadcasts, most metropolitan areas have an hour and a half of local news in the evening, with 2 additional half-hour broadcasts in the morning and at noon. This all-day banquet of news programming does not include national morning talk shows such as Good Morning America and The Today Show, nor does it include evening news magazines such as 60 Minutes, 2020, and 48 Hours. Because of the many, and sometimes endless, hours that networks and 24-hour cable news shows must fill, the focus has shifted more and more from the policy stances of candidates and government officials to the personalities of these individuals. Many Americans are well equipped to describe the personality traits and lifestyle preferences of elected leaders. President Barack Obama's preference for Hawaii beach vacations, his reputation as a strict but loving father, his reliance on his BlackBerry, and his battle with his pack-a-day smoking habit. Former President George W. Bush's exercise routine, or former President Bill Clinton's reputation as a fast food junkie. The reason for this shift is twofold. Many viewers enjoy lighter content when watching so much television, and personality-oriented coverage is less likely to offend viewers and advertisers. New technologies have dramatically changed the conduct of political campaigns in recent years, and continuing developments promise to force campaigns to continue to evolve and adapt as technology develops new and faster ways to communicate and interact. Through texting, tweeting, and web chatting, candidates can use technologies to communicate with voters, mobilize supporters, and interact with the media. The Internet is among the most valuable and powerful new tools used by candidates. It serves as an efficient means by which office seekers can communicate with potential supporters, contributors, and the media. Candidates' websites provide a readily available forum where the electorate can find out about candidates' experiences, policy positions, and priorities. This information can be used by voters to make more informed decisions in the voting booth. In addition, the Internet is a powerful fundraising tool. Indeed, Barack Obama's use of the Internet to raise thousands of small donations in the 2008 Democratic presidential primary was an important part of the formula for his successful campaign. In his 21-month campaign for the presidency, Obama raised $500 million, yes, that's billion with a B, dollars. 3 million donors made a total of 6.5 million donations online, adding up to more than $500 million. Of those 6.5 million donations, 6 million were in increments of $100 or less. The average online donation was $80, and the average Obama donor gave more than once. Oftentimes, you would receive emails asking for just $5 or $10. In discussing the growth of campaign fundraising on the Internet, Eli Parsi, founder of MoveOn.org's Peace Campaign, noted that candidates are wasting their time with rubber chicken donors, an allusion to the donors who contribute to candidates by paying to attend campaign dinners. Using email and instant messaging, campaigns can communicate quickly with the media, both informing them of positive campaign developments and spinning negative developments in the best possible light for the candidate. Through campaign blogs, candidates can also supplement the information available in more traditional news media outlets. Internet communities and social networking sites such as Facebook also provide a powerful tool for campaigns and an important mechanism for political engagement for individuals. Some Internet communities may be dedicated to advancing the electoral chances of a candidate for a particular office, and may or may not be sponsored by that candidate. But Internet communities and social networking sites also provide a forum for average citizens to engage in political discourse, become informed about candidates and issues, and get information that facilitates activism in their communities. If you look at the difference between 1980s and 2011, many campaigns were managed and staffed by volunteers, and then I got into the hired guns. Grassroots activism was the norm in all but the largest campaigns. Netroots activism, that's something you're going to need to know for the AP, is political activism driven by candidates' websites, tweets, blogs, and social networking sites. It uses the Internet as a complement to traditional grassroots campaign efforts. In the 80s, money was a crucial consideration in campaigns, but grassroots activism demanded fewer financial resources. Now, money rules the day in most campaigns, but technology has the potential to level the campaign playing field.